Hey, this is for you. Sorry it came late today. Thought you might have missed it. On the house. Thanks. Thanks, Felix. How did you know my name? Your name tag.
This is Men Being Too Intimate Season 4. At the same time, tomorrow. Cups stacked, milk steamed, orders called and answered in a steady rhythm. Felix worked within it, his hands moving from one station to the next without pause. Across from him, the new girl followed a step behind. He adjusted around her instead of correcting every hesitation. The door opened. Felix finished pouring the coffee he had already started, set the cup down, and slid it forward.
Watch this.
He angled his head slightly toward her. She glanced at him, smiling as if he was about to show her something useful. Felix didn't explain. His eyes stayed on the man walking in as he spoke in a low, even voice.
Black coffee, onion roll, no butter.
She let out a small laugh under her breath and turned back to the register, readying herself. The man didn't look around when he entered. He stopped in front of her, posture settling into place.
Black coffee, onion roll, no butter.
The girl's smile held, but it shifted slightly. Something flickering through it before she looked down again. She entered the order quickly, then glanced sideways toward Felix. Felix gave a small shrug and a quick, careless wink before turning back to the counter. The man stepped aside once the order was placed, moving to the end of the counter. He stood with his hands resting loosely at his sides, attention forward without fixing on anything. Felix worked through the order the same way he did every other one. When he handed it over, the man took it without comment. He moved to the table near the window, the same one he always used. He took a sip, held it a moment, then lowered the cup. After that, he tore off a small piece of the roll and ate it. Another piece. This time he dipped it lightly into the coffee before bringing it to his mouth. The remaining portion went inside, folded once, set beside the cup.
Onion dipped in coffee?
The girl said under her breath.
He always does it like that. I've tried it. Not bad.
Felix didn't look away from the window. The man took one more sip, then stood. The chair slid back with a soft scrape. He picked up the cup, then the bag, his movements unchanged. No shift in his face, no change in posture. He turned and walked out. The door closed. The girl let out a quiet laugh, shaking her head as she turned back to the counter.
Okay, that's weird. But he was cute.
Another customer stepped forward. She moved immediately, already on to the next order. Felix didn't look at her. He watched the door a second longer, his hand resting lightly against the counter as the rhythm of the cafe closed around the space the man had left behind. Then he reached for the next cup and set it under the machine. Emil stepped out of the cafe, the cup in his hand, the folded paper bag against his fingers, and crossed the short stretch of pavement toward the building next door. Inside, the reception desk shifted as he entered. The receptionist stood, offering a brief greeting as others nearby glanced up from their work. Emil didn't stop. He returned a slight nod as he passed, already moving toward the stairs. Upstairs, the office door was open. His secretary stood just inside with her tablet.
The 9 moved to 10. Structural files are on your desk. The model's been updated.
He stepped past her without answering, setting the folded bag down on the side counter before placing the cup beside it. She reached for the hanger before he asked, holding it out as he removed his jacket. He placed it on the hanger, adjusted the shoulders once so the line sat clean, and handed it back. She stepped aside to hang it without interrupting the flow of her report. He moved to the desk. The glass was already there, empty. Beside it, a sealed bottle. He opened it and poured, stopping just below the rim where the line always fell, then took a sip and set it down again with the base aligned to the edge of the folder.
The client confirmed the material change. They're going with your recommendation.
She added, placing another file beside the first and aligning it before letting go.
Good.
He turned toward the counter, his attention settling on the cup he had brought in.
Throw that away.
She picked up the cup and carried it toward the back.
I'll be at my desk,
she said as she passed the door. He didn't respond. When the door closed behind her, the room returned to its usual stillness. He adjusted the folder once more so it sat cleanly against the line of the desk, then pulled the chair in and sat, his hand returning to the glass without hesitation as the rest of the morning continued. In the cafe, Felix worked through the next order without looking up. his hands moving in the same sequence, but his attention shifted briefly toward the window where the table near the glass now sat empty. He let the glance pass, reached for the next cup, and set it under the machine as the rhythm of the cafe carried on. The machine ran less often. Cups no longer stacked as quickly. The space between orders stretched just enough to notice. Felix wiped down the counter, moving from one end to the other in a straight line, the cloth passing over the same sections it always did. The girl stayed near the register, her attention shifting between the door and the empty space where the last customer had stood. She glanced toward the window.
That guy, he comes in every day?
Usually.
And he always orders that?
Same thing always.
Felix rinsed the cloth, wrung it once, then set it back against the surface. She nodded slowly.
And the roll, he always dip it in coffee?
Felix's hand paused just long enough to register the question before continuing.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Felix didn't respond. She watched the door again, even though no one was there.
What about others? Anyone interesting?
Felix reached for a stack of cups.
Nothing special.
He said. The answer closed the question. Then she straightened slightly, something shifting in her expression.
What if we don't give it to him tomorrow?
Felix picked up a cup, set it under the machine, adjusted the handle. He didn't start it.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
The handle stayed where he had left it. The next morning settled into place, the early rush moving through while the girl kept closer pace at the register. The display case had been reset at opening. The space where the onion rolls usually sat remained empty. Felix had noticed it when he arranged the trays. When the door opened, Felix finished the drink already in his hands and slid it forward before shifting slightly toward the register. The girl caught the movement, met his small nod, and stepped back toward the coffee station, her hands already moving toward the next set of cups. His attention lifted as Emil stepped into place.
Black coffee, onion roll, no butter.
Felix held his gaze.
We don't have onion rolls today.
Emil's eyes moved to the display. He looked long enough to register the absence, then returned to the counter.
Just the coffee then.
The tone remained even. Felix took the order. Behind him, the machine started, the sound carrying through the space. When the cup was set down at pickup, Emil stepped forward and took it. He remained there a moment, as if the next step had not yet been set, then turned and walked to the table by the window. He took the same seat, the same position. He set the cup down. And then nothing followed. His gaze lifted once, passing over the space before settling on Felix, who was already looking. The contact held. Emil looked away first. He stood. The chair returned to place with a quiet movement as he picked up the cup and walked toward the door without looking back. The girl glanced back at Felix.
He didn't even touch it.
Felix didn't answer. He stayed at the counter, his hand resting lightly against its edge as the next customer stepped forward and placed an order. His gaze returned once more to the table by the window, then lower beneath the counter, where the onion rolls were kept. The rest of the morning settles back into place, the work moving forward without interruption as Emil continues through the late hours at the same controlled pace. By midday, he reaches a stopping point. He sets the pen down parallel to the edge of the paper, slides the file into place, and lets his hand rest briefly against the surface before lifting it again. His secretary is already standing by the door.
Your next meeting is at 2. You're clear until then.
He nods once.
I'll be back before that.
He removes a small container from the bag. He takes the water bottle next, secures the cap, and sets it alongside the container. At reception, the desk straightens as he comes into view.
Going out for lunchy?
The receptionist asks. He nods once. The cafe shifts toward the lunch hour. Orders stack more quickly. The machine runs again. Felix works through it, wiping down the counter in a straight line before setting the cloth aside, his hands moving into the next sequence without pause. She leans slightly toward him.
Watch.
She says quietly.
5 seconds.
Felix doesn't ask. He follows her gaze. She counts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Emil passes by. He doesn't slow. Doesn't look toward the window. Doesn't break his line. The cafe stays outside it. Felix's hand stills against the counter. The girl exhales, a small note of satisfaction in it.
Told you.
Felix doesn't answer. He steps behind the counter and reaches beneath it. His hand finds the paper bag first, then the space where the onion rolls have been set aside.
I'll be back.
He steps toward the door, his gaze tracking the direction Emil has taken. The park opens at the end of the block, the lines of the street loosening as the movement shifts into something slower, people settling along the benches that run beside the path. Emil sits, setting the bag beside him before reaching into it and taking out his lunch, placing each item in order. Felix slows as he reaches the edge of the path. Most of the benches are occupied. He watches Emil opens the container. Felix steps forward.
Hey, this is for you.
Felix holds out the bag. Emil's hand comes up to take it, the motion pausing briefly before it settles into place, as if it doesn't belong to the sequence he has already set. He opens the bag and looks inside. 2 onion rolls.
Sorry it came late today.
Felix says with a smile.
Thought you might have missed it. On the house.
Emil looks at him a moment longer than needed.
Thanks.
And after a brief beat,
Thanks, Felix. How did you know my name?
Felix remains where he is for a moment, the bag now in Emil's hands.
Your name tag.
Felix says. Felix glances down, then back at him. Emil shifts the space beside him without turning fully, moving the container a fraction to the side and straightening the napkin where Felix now sits. The park continues around them, voices passing in and out of reach, footsteps crossing behind the bench. Emil opens the container, the lid lifting cleanly before being set aside. He tears a piece from his roll and dips it into the soup. Felix watches. Emil glances up briefly, then reaches back into the bag and takes the second roll, extending it toward him. Felix takes it.
Try it.
He demonstrates again, tearing a piece and dipping it into the soup before bringing it up.
Go on.
Felix hesitates only a moment before following, tearing a smaller piece and dipping it the same way. He takes a bite. They continue eating. After a moment, Felix glances toward him.
You always follow the same routine?
Emil looks at him.
What do you mean?
Felix shifts slightly, settling into the space beside him.
Nothing.
He says. Then, after a beat,
Mind if I join you for lunch here sometimes? That's not my routine.
Emil's hand stills briefly before continuing. Then,
Yes. I knew your name before.
Emil adds after a moment, his gaze returning to the food in front of him.
I've seen your name tag long ago.
The space between them holds quieter now as the park continues around them. Inside the cafe, the morning moves through its usual pace, the early flow steady as orders come in and pass through without interruption. Before one, he checks the clock, earlier than he normally would, his hand resting briefly against the counter before moving again. Emil steps out of the building at the same time he always does, following the same line and the same pace, but when he reaches the front of the cafe, his gaze shifts. Felix catches it. The corner of his mouth lifts before he pushes the door open.
You're going out?
I'll be out for 30 minutes.
She exhales.
You better. We're going to get packed.
I'll be back before that.
The door closes behind him. Felix closes the distance within a few steps, falling into place beside Emil without needing to stop. Emil is holding his lunch. Felix lifts his hand slightly, showing his own. Emil glances at it, then at him, and the corner of his mouth lifts. Felix notices. The park opens ahead of them, the bench is partially filled, the midday light settling across the space as people move through it in slower patterns. They take the same bench. Emil sets his lunch down first. Felix sits beside him and sets his own bag down. His lunch is simpler, a sandwich and a small container of cut apples. They begin eating without marking the start. After a while, Felix opens the container and shifts it slightly toward Emil.
Here.
Emil looks at it. Then he takes one piece of apple and eats it while Felix watches.
You should try something different.
A small note of amusement in his voice. Emil doesn't answer. But he doesn't refuse the next piece either. Felix's phone vibrates. He glances down. A message from the cafe.
I need to go back.
Already gathering his things before adding. He exhales.
Same time tomorrow? Yeah, same time.
The next morning builds faster than usual. A large group comes in early, the line forming before the first rush has fully cleared, order stacking as voices overlap and the pace tightens sooner than it should. The display is worked through quickly, hands reaching in and out without pause as items are taken and replaced, the arrangement shifting under pressure. Felix checks the tray once, then again as another order is called, his gaze moving over the onion rolls as they go down faster than the rest. He reaches forward to straighten the row, then pauses just long enough to make the decision. He takes one from the back and sets it aside, slipping it beneath the counter into a paper bag before returning his hand to the next order. When Emil steps in, the space adjusts around him without needing to be directed.
Black coffee. I know, onion roll. And no butter.
Felix gives a small nod. He reaches beneath the counter and brings the bag up,
We're tight today, but
his tone even,
I kept yours.
placing it in front of him. There's a slight shift at the corner of his mouth. Emil looks at the bag, then at him.
Thanks. I won't be at the park today.
Emil adds, his tone unchanged.
Are you free for dinner?
The girl is close enough to hear it. Her hands pause for a fraction, her eyes lifting briefly in his direction.
I am.
6 p.m.?
Felix nods.
My shift ends at 3.
I'll wait here.
Emil gives a small nod. Then, instead of turning toward the table by the window, he moves toward the door, his pace unchanged. Felix watches him go. Then he turns back to the counter. Beside him, the girl leans in.
So that's what you've been up to? Since when?
Felix glances at her, a brief flicker of something passing through his expression. The afternoon settles into a slower rhythm, the rush giving way to a steadier flow as the line shortens and the noise drops back into something more contained. Felix stays behind the counter after his shift ends. The girl notices when the clock passes 3 and he's still there, his hands no longer moving with the same purpose, his attention returning to the door more often.
Enjoy your date.
She says, already reaching for her bag.
Don't make me cover you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Felix scrolls through his phone at first, something to hold the space, but it doesn't keep him long. His gaze lifts again and again, returning to the door. He watches for a while before stepping in.
Didn't you clock out?
One of the afternoon staff asks. Felix shrugs.
I can help.
The door opens. He looks up before the sound finishes. Emil steps inside and walks straight to the counter. Felix checks the clock.
You came early, it's only 5. My schedule shifted. You good to go? Yeah, ready.
Felix glances down at himself and unties the apron quickly. He steps out from behind the counter. They step outside together. They walk close enough that their shoulders almost align. Emil glances toward him.
So, you said you'd widen my taste. What's on your mind? There's this Vietnamese place I've been meaning to try.
Felix smiles slightly. They continue down the street, the city moving around them, people passing, light shifting across windows and pavement. An ISTJ moves with structure, step by step, holding patterns in place, keeping what works exactly where it belongs. For Emil, nothing changes unless there's a reason to allow it. An INTP moves differently, moment by moment, following what shifts, testing what happens when something isn't held in place. For Felix, not everything needs to stay the same to matter. They understood the pattern from the beginning. When to show up, what to take, what to leave untouched. But somewhere between the order and the break in it, the timing changed. An ISTJ and an INTP. Different ways of moving through the same moment. But sometimes what holds isn't the pattern. It's the time you return to. This is Men Being Too Intimate, Season 4. At the same time tomorrow.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more stories on gay audiobooks.
Also, my short novel, Men Being Too Intimate series, are now available on Kindle Unlimited. You'll find the link in the description. YouTube membership is now open, behind closed doors. If you want to support me, please do join in. Thank you.
Something small changed and we didn't break it. Not a promise.